How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with Alex and Ryan. Today we want to talk about one of the Yankees' top outfield prospects in Spencer Jones. Now, we know his stock dropped in 2024 slightly because of the strikeout rates, the whiff rates. He had some underlying metrics, some really blatant metrics that struggled. And this is a player that we believe, if he puts it all together, has the upside of being a superstar. He's a lefty. He fits Yankee Stadium like a glove. He's got the Aaron Judge kind of stature to him. He's got the power. We just want him to elevate the ball a bit more. We want him to be a little bit more proactive with his swing decisions and, bring that strikeout rate down. But, if it all comes together in 2025, you're looking at a guy that could just ascend to the top prospects in baseball. He was going into the 2024 season. Obviously, that number dropped a bit with a little bit of an inconsistent year in Double-A. But if he gets to Triple-A, what's the upside of him becoming a potential starting solution in 2026? I know the Yankees, a lot of their patchwork decisions this offseason may have been with guys like Kyle Tucker in mind. Someone going to be a free agent, obviously, with the Cubs right now, last year of arbitration, and he's going to be the cream of the crop of free agents next year along with Vladdy. So when looking at the Yankees' decisions, do they want to go after a guy like Kyle Tucker who fits Yankee Stadium to perfection? Or if Spencer Jones ends up destroying the minors, could they consider him a viable solution in the outfield as well? Maybe even as just a fourth option in 2026, someone that can play, almost every day or, at least every other day if they want to even consider moving Judge to first base long term. I know that's not really in the cards right now, but it could be down the line, and Jones could play a part in that equation. We want to kind of break down Spencer Jones for you guys, take a look at his upside, what we like and what he needs to improve on. Ryan, I know you have a lot of information on this, so I'll let you get it kicked off. Before we do, how you do today, my friend?
I'm hanging in there. It was a weekend, a solid weekend, solid Monday. We got a solid Tuesday going around. So, solid days, you put them together, you've got a pretty solid week together. Now, when it comes to exit velocity in Spencer Jones, we all know he's dominant in that category. He averaged about 94 miles per hour in terms of average exit velocity this past season. His 90th percentile exit velocity was around 108 miles an hour. For kind of MLB comparisons here, his 90th percentile exit velocity compares to guys like Christian Yelich, Ronald Acuna Jr., Yandy Diaz, Julio Rodriguez, Gunnar Henderson, Christian Walker, and Pete Alonso, who I would consider to be a group of like really good power hitters or guys who have a lot of power who, like in the case of Yandy Diaz, just kind of hits it straight into the ground. But Yandy Diaz is a good hitter. Let's not get that wrong. If he was available on the trade market, I think you and I, Alex, would continue to pound the table for him and find a fit somehow. And then when you look at 94 miles per hour of average exit velocity, that's in that territory with guys like Ketel Marte, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, these elite bat-to-ball guys in terms of just doing damage. Now, obviously, the big question mark here is whether Spencer Jones can make enough contact, and that's consistently been the problem. He had a whiff rate in Double-A of around 40%. Now, this is an estimated whiff rate because it's hard to get exactly accurate pitch tracking data and all that stuff in Double-A if you're not watching every single game and watching every single pitch. But thankfully, there are people out there who are smart enough to run these estimators to kind of, gauge what, roughly where it is at. And with a 40.5% whiff rate, that's not going to cut it, Alex. It's not good enough. A 36.8% strikeout rate, that's going to balloon to closer to 45% in the big leagues. And that's just not playable. But don't be dismayed, because I think Spencer Jones can have some tweaks or continue to work on some things he worked on last year that could make him a really good hitter at the next level. First and foremost, it was changing his the way he loads at the plate. If you look at his swing mechanics, the way he kind of generated power, his load in September changed. He kind of, he had the normal leg lift, but kind of hung in the air a little longer, and he was doing tons of damage on contact. He averaged, I believe, what it would have been if he paced out his numbers over 150 games, about 40 home runs, 40 doubles, and 20-something triples. It was an insane September for him. I'm not saying he would keep that pace up if he played 150 games in 2025 at the minor league level, but it's more so just to say that his ability to generate game power or do damage on contact improved. And high strikeout rates are a problem, but they're a lot more manageable when you're doing a lot of damage on contact, when you're generating a lot of power, when you're generating a lot of slug. And the other thing too is that Spencer Jones is going to be a productive player kind of regardless of if you take away the bat, he will be a productive player. The glove is good, and it's at a premium position in center field. He's one of the better defensive outfield prospects in baseball. He's an excellent base runner. He will provide positive value on the bases as well. So when you're a premium defender at a premium position and you're a very good base runner, the floor is pretty high there. The question is whether Spencer Jones can be an above average bat or not. If Spencer Jones is 5% better than the league average hitter and he is a good defensive center fielder and a good base runner, he will be a 3 to 4 WAR player. And, people may say that's underwhelming to be 5% better than league average offensively, but I would counter that by saying being a 3 to 4 WAR player is an excellent outcome for a first round pick, especially one not selected with the first 10 picks of the draft. The average 20-somethingth pick overall in the MLB draft does not become an above average everyday starter. That is the goal for Spencer Jones. That is an attainable goal for Spencer Jones. That's a realistic goal for Spencer Jones, and it's one where he becomes a successful prospect. Alex, the way I turn this back to you is really under the guise of being realistic with expectations. And I think that's kind of the biggest problem people have had with a lot of prospects coming through the years. It's Spencer Jones the next Aaron Judge, and not can Spencer Jones be a good kind of like everyday above average regular for a contending Yankee team. That's my barometer of success. I don't know about you.
It absolutely is. And, people use the Aaron Judge comp just because of his frame, but I think they're different players in a lot of ways. And what I like the most about Spencer Jones is simply right now, it's just upside, right? Like he's got all of these amazing traits. He's got several elite traits. And, one of the things that I don't know if you remember this, but last spring training, do you remember who he was trying to mirror his defensive style after? Kevin Kiermaier.
Yeah, Kevin Kiermaier, who's
and he was
solid.
Watching film on Kevin Kiermaier, one of the best outfielders ever. So, this is a really encouraging thing. I know watching him doesn't not mean he's going to be him, but I think that trying to mirror that play style, his long strides, one of the things that, a lot of the kind of breakdowns say is that he's an average runner until he gets into his full stride, and then he's like extremely fast for a guy of that size, right? An athlete at 6'6", you watch Aaron Judge play, he's an athlete for sure, but Spencer Jones is a lot more fluid in the way he moves. And I think in the center field, imagine an outfield. I mean, look, let's assume like the Yankees don't get Kyle Tucker in this instance and Spencer Jones ends up blossoming into this great player. Having an infield pre-arbitration of Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones opens up a world of opportunity because you can spend big on a different position now, whether it be third base, second base. You already have one of the best rotations in baseball. You don't need to spend a whole lot of money to make your team that good because a lot of people take shots at the Yankees farm system, but they forget the fact that they just graduated a whole bunch of them. You know what I mean? Like they just graduated Austin Wells, who was an AL Rookie of the Year candidate. They graduated Luis Gil, who just won the AL Rookie of the Year. Anthony Volpe's a well above average defensive shortstop. Of course, offensively, he's still finding his game. Jason Dominguez has the upside of being one of the best outfielders in the game offensively. And Spencer Jones does as well. Like people are like, oh, they have a terrible farm system. Well, they traded a lot of those guys to get superstar talent. But let's not forget the ones that they graduated too, because they have a lot of young talent pre-arbitration making next to no money. And I'd rather have a bad farm system because we graduated a whole bunch to becoming above average players than have a really great farm system that doesn't ever become great MLB talent, right? So I think the Yankees have walked away positive in this instance, and they haven't really traded anyone aside from Caleb Durbin this offseason. They have Spencer Jones, they have Chase Hampton. We're trying to lock in an interview for Will Warren. We're doing our best there to get some goals and stuff for 2025, and we have a lot of stuff in the pipeline trying to get more kind of information on these prospects for you guys, because I think that future is a big determining factor in how the Yankees approach free agency, approach the trade deadlines and stuff like that. So, when it comes to Jones, that upside, those elite traits, the power, I know like his power hasn't translated mostly to games in a way that we were like, okay, this guy's got like 60 grade power and we want to see him show it in game. He had 17 homers last year, which is still pretty damn good. But, Ryan, is that something that does concern you a bit? Do you want him to elevate the ball more? Is that part of his game that you think will come with a little bit more development? Or are you not really worried about the way he's making contact?
Yeah, so, I mean, my thing is that Spencer Jones if Spencer Jones is going to be firmly below average at making contact, which I think he will be, he has to do it while having upper echelon or best in the league or close to best in the league game power. Because if he's doing that, then he's going to be a very productive hitter. The hitter I've compared him to is Matt Wallner of the Minnesota Twins, who has a striker rate of around 35% at the major league level, but he's got a 144 WRC plus. And the reasons for that are he, hits for a decent enough average. He walks about 9 to 10% of the time, which, Spencer Jones has done that in his minor league career for the most part. And the big thing, he's hit for a ton of power. He hits for a lot of power. He's slugging a lot. He's hitting a lot of home runs. He's hitting a lot of doubles. That's the kind of thing where, I need Spencer Jones to do that. And something that could help Spencer Jones with hitting doubles or generating extra bases is his speed. Alex, he is ridiculously fast. As you mentioned, once he gets into stride, he is, it's hard to stop him. It's hard to, catch up with him. And if Spencer Jones can turn some singles into doubles, some doubles into triples, that's going to add some extra base as well. That's where base running is a valuable thing for offense as well. It's not just, independent of your bat, in my opinion. I think speed does matter to an extent. Then your ability to get the ball to right field. Spencer Jones has really good raw power, and that makes it a lot less important for him to get the ball to right field. But if he can get to the ball to right field at around a league average clip or, slightly above, then yeah, that game power is going to continue to unlock as well, because his line drives are going to get out at Yankee Stadium when they're, hit on a line and to right field. So, Spencer Jones has to be a consistent, I'm going to hit the ball in the air. I'm going to hit fly balls 45% of the time. This metric stands out to me as the difference maker for Spencer Jones. Alex, 20.2% of his fly balls last season. Yes, 20.7% of his fly balls last season went out for home runs. So he has a home run to fly ball ratio of 20.7%. There is a 1 in 5 chance when Spencer Jones hits a fly ball that he's going to hit a home run. That is what raw power does for you. So now the question is, okay, can we get that fly ball rate, which is around 29% this past season? It's 40% or 45%, because we're in that 40 to 45% range. Even if he's not hitting a lot of line drives, and even if it means that his strikeout rates remain 33, 34%, that's fine, because if he's striking out 33 to 34% of the time, but he's slugging 480 or 490, he's going to be a productive hitter for you, and he's going to be above average hitter. And as we mentioned, he is good at things outside of hitting. A guy who is 5 to 10% better than league average offensively, but is bad on the bases or bad defensively, is not a productive player. But someone who's 5 to 10% better offensively while being productive on the base paths and defensively, especially at an important defensive position like center field, that's the kind of player who is productive for a championship contender and could be a cornerstone on your franchise if the guy continues to develop. And again, that is my goal. Productive player for a championship contender. That is what Spencer Jones should strive to be. That is what the Yankees should be pushing Spencer Jones to be. I'm sure they are. I'm sure Jones, he wants to be that. I'm not doubting that at all. But all I'm saying is for fans and for really anyone analyzing Spencer Jones, because I can already hear it now. If Spencer Jones is a 110 WRC plus hitter, a good defender, and a good base runner, everyone's going to say, well, he's not Aaron Judge, so he was overhyped. Instead of acknowledging the fact this is a guy who, spent half of his college career injured with an elbow injury, didn't really get to hit, came over and had to spend a year dealing with COVID as well, which really harmed a lot of college athletes. Ben Rice is someone that we talked about yesterday. He's someone who he lost 2 years of development to COVID. When you look at what Spencer Jones, what his outlook was in 2024 with all the strikeouts, no one's going to acknowledge him as a player who went from a non-top 10 pick to a productive big leaguer on the Yankees. They're going to say he's not Aaron Judge. They're going to keep moving the goalposts back. So I just want people to keep things in perspective, keep things realistic, and more importantly, keep things fair to the player and fair to the organization as well. Because you're right, Alex. Everyone goes, well, Miguel Andujar didn't work out, and no one talks about the fact that Austin Wells is one of the best catchers in the sport, and he was a non-top 20 pick. And no one talks about Luis Seal, a guy who they got for Jake Cave and turned into a Rookie of the Year winner. I know Anthony Volpe isn't a superstar, but he's a productive big league player, and he wasn't a top 20 pick either. So I could go on and on with productive players the Yankees haven't spent premium picks on because they never have premium picks, and I could go on and on about their successes through the draft or international free agency. Unfortunately, I don't think people will properly ever recognize that. I just want to sit here and say, no, those kinds of players help you win titles, especially, as you mentioned, pre-arbitration, cheap. That's always a plus, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cost efficiency is obviously a big factor in that, but If I'm sitting here right now and telling you that Spencer Jones is going to stop the Yankees from going out and getting Kyle Tucker, I'd be lying to you. What I will say is that if Spencer Jones is dominating this season and the Yankees feel as though they need an infielder that's going to be a game changer, do I want to trade Spencer Jones? No, but having a great prospect that can possibly be a key component in landing you a championship winning move at the deadline, you have to consider that. And like, the more weapons you have, the more assets you have, the better. In a perfect world, Jones rises to being this awesome player for the Yankees. In a different world, they end up leveraging his upside and stock to make an upgrade that can help them win a chip in 2025. So, with that being said, really excited about Spencer Jones' future. Really excited to see if he can put it all together, because we saw the tweaks he made, and we saw the negatives, the positives. And if he gets that balance, man, if he finds that algorithm, that equation that really fits his style and helps him eliminate some of the concerns that we have, this guy's going to be special. He's going to be a really good defensive center fielder. He can steal bags for you. A 6'6" guy that steals 25 bags a season is rare. You don't find that every day. Not to mention a guy that can hit line drives, extra base hits. He can turn a single into a double. This is a really, really interesting player that the upside's undeniable, right? He starts to bring down those strikeout rates, the whole freaking roof gets blown off, and you're like, okay, now what is this guy's upside for real? What is he capable of? So, I'm pretty excited to see what this upcoming season holds for a guy like Spencer Jones, especially in spring training. He dominated spring training last year, if you recall, with the Yankees. I mean, I don't know if I can let's see if I can pull it up right here. In spring training last year, he played 13 games. He had 444 with a 583 OBP, 722 slugging rate, had a homer and 4 RBIs and 7 runs. Again, it's spring training, it's a small sample, but we saw flashes of what he looks like when he's hot, when he's on fire. He had a 20% walk rate and 25 PAs and 12% strikeout rate. So something clicked. Something happened that it just all came together, and he was on fire for those couple of days. But, obviously quieted off in AA a bit. This is going to be fun. I'm excited. AA is a really difficult place to play. You talk about it all the time. It's a really tough place to hit. But I do think that, when you're looking at his upside, he still had a 124 WRC plus, right? This is still a guy that was well above average in AA. If he cracks the AAA team and he's dominating and he's putting it together, the Yankees are going to be pretty excited about this player. And we're going to hear a lot more positivity coming from them. So, I'm ecstatic about it, Ryan. I think we're going to see a lot of upside and potential. If you have anything left to say on Spencer Jones, we'll be monitoring him throughout the season. We'll get you guys more updates as they come.
Yeah, so what I wanted to just mention before we signed off here was kind of comparing him to other guys who have recently either A, graduated, or B, graduated and has kind of become a star caliber player, and what they did in the minor leagues in terms of strikeout rates. Guys I consider more comparable to Jones physically speaking. James Wood, he's 6'7", 234 pounds, exciting young prospect with the Washington Nationals. In his AA season in 2023, the year before he made his major league debut, he struck out 33.7% of the time with a 124 WRC plus. Spencer Jones struck out 36.8% of the time with a 124 WRC plus. James Wood, in his first kind of taste of MLB action, put up a 120 WRC plus with a 354 OBP. Alex, I would take that in a heartbeat from Spencer Jones, right? James Wood took that, year of struggling with his strikeouts and really focused in on trying to do damage in 2024 and cutting down some of those strikeout rates and kind of improving his bat path. Matt Wallner, I mentioned him earlier in the episode. Matt Wallner, before he made his big league debut, was a strikeout machine. So in 2022, he makes his big league debut. The year prior, as a 23-year-old in high A, not in double A, in high A, he struck out 33.3% of the time. He was not very good in high A in terms of making contact. Fast forward to today, in his age 27 season, or entering his age 27 season, he sits with a career 144 WRC plus, a 251 average, 366 OBP, a 500 slug, and a 34.5% strikeout rate. Alex, I would take 29 home runs, 366 OBP, and a 144 WRC plus from Spencer Jones any day of the week. And then the most lucrative comparison we can make here, Elly De La Cruz. Elly De La Cruz, right before he made his major league debut in 2023, struck out 30.8% of the time in the minor leagues that year. and has since become one of the best players in baseball. He had a 6.4 WAR season in his second MLB pro year. Granted, De La Cruz is a much younger guy, than Jones. I think Wallner's a better comparison because of the age. Wallner's now entering his age 27 season. He debuted as a 24-year-old, although his debut came in like 18 games at the end of the year that was just kind of throw-in games. He didn't really become a productive big leaguer until his age 25 season. But my point more so is guys who have strikeout issues, bigger, taller guys, they take a little bit of time. Like L.A. De La Cruz was an international free agent who signed, in 2019, so a year before Jason Dominguez, and he made his MLB debut the same year Jason Dominguez did, for context. Like, that's pretty crazy to think about, that him and Jason Dominguez debuted the same year, and L.A. De La Cruz is older than Jason, and on top of that, he signed a year earlier. James Wood is a guy who was drafted in 2021. He didn't debut until 2024. He came out of high school. He was a raw prospect. The Padres and the Nationals did a great job developing him. I do think he's the best prospect of this group, but let's look at Matt Wallner again, a guy who was drafted out of college. So this is a guy who was in his 20s when he got drafted. He got drafted in 2019. That's when Anthony Volpe got drafted. That's crazy to think about. And the guy didn't become an everyday major league regular until his age 25 season. Anthony Volpe had that happen to him a lot sooner. He was a high schooler. Austin Wells was drafted in 2021, dealt with injuries. He became an everyday regular basically the same year that Wallner did. So some guys just take time, Alex. When you're a bigger guy, it's harder to figure out your swing mechanics. It's harder to be consistent and all that stuff. I think Spencer Jones can do it. He can hit home runs. That's really what his goal's got to be. I've got to hit for power because the strikeouts are always going to be there. And if he hits home runs aren't strikeouts. So when you're hitting more, you're not striking out as much. That's just kind of inherent as well. So, TLDR, big dudes take a little bit of time to develop. Spencer Jones is a big dude. Hopefully his career goes in the way of the aforementioned three big dudes I just mentioned who absolutely freaking mash.
Yep, absolutely. They absolutely freaking mash. So we're excited to see how he continues to develop and mash the freaking baseball. But guys, always happy to hear your thoughts down below in the YouTube comment section. Make sure you like, subscribe, as always, 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.
Perfect.